last week I did a fitting with True Spec Golf in North Atlanta. I did a wedge fitting, and then people ask me why you want to do wedge fitting, because wedges are your scoring club, right? Like you can drive 300 yards, but you cannot get on the green and stop rolling. It's almost pointless. And of course, you have to make a putt, right? So doing a wedge fitting is so important. I don't want, even though I'm not the best golfer, 20 plus handicap, but I still feel like, you have to get your priority right in order to reduce your score. And this is the reason why I decided to do a wedge fitting. And why did I do it with a True Spec versus a Club Champion or PGA Store or other fitter? Simply because the True Spec, to me, like I had a good experience with them with my iron fitting at a Bucket location. It's a nice high-end upscale fitting location. So if that's what you're looking for, that's where you want to go. I had done my driver fitting with Club Champion in Atlanta in City Spring. Nah, it was not very good at all. Honestly, I didn't like it at all. I was rushed through it. You know, didn't get to try everything I want to try. They only want to sell me what they want to sell me, right? So let's just put it there. I don't want to say much more. But I did it with the True Spec Golf in the particularly North Georgia location, simply because it has outdoor air. It's outdoor, and the fitter has its own short game area. It's such a big difference when you do it out there. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a wedge, iron, or driver. Like when you do it indoor, right? The mats, it's gonna be more forgiving. Doesn't matter if it's a real mat or whatever mat you want to call it, right? It's gonna be more forgiving than the grass, and especially indoor, the temperature is air conditioned, right? So it's at one temperature. But when you do it outdoor, it could be high, it could be cold, right? So when I do it, I believe it was probably like below 40-degree outside, maybe below 50. I wasn't sure, 100% sure. But like all that had to, all that would change the way your ball fly, meaning especially ball fly and the ball speed, right? And also when you're outside, it's cold, or, your hand, right? So it's much more realistic when you do it outside. And on top of that, the feeder in this location is awesome. Like I highly recommend anyone in Atlanta area or nearby Atlanta, if you want to get your club feeding down, go to True Spec Golf, North Atlanta location. Just a little disclaimer: I'm not being paid to say, "Oh, this is a good thing about them." I had to pay for my fitting. The fitting was $125 for the wedge fitting. Honestly, that's best $125 I ever spent as far as like a golf related. And then let's go see the video. Oh, by the way, if you like my video, please do click like, and then please subscribe to my channel, and please comment below, so it will help me to grow this channel. This way I can put out more video like this for you. I see the video.
So yeah, kind of going through looking at the setup that you got.
Mm-hmm.
Measured the loft on your pitching wedge, which is right at 45, which is the standard loft for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind the loft setup that you have with everything here. 50, 56, 60. That's fairly common setup. The process that we're going to go through here, though, is once you're feeling loose, I'm going to be having you hit your sand wedge.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be basically, the shot we're going to be looking for you to be hitting is going to be like a little 3/4 wedge shot.
Okay.
So it's not like a full swing, it's not a chip shot.
Yeah.
But it's like that 70 to 80 yard shot.
Okay.
Once you're feeling loose, we'll switch over to the route that is pretty short. So they use limited flight balls up on the top end of the driving range, but we use the real pro ones down here.
I see.
While you're loosening up, I'm just going to confirm contact info here real quick. 850-339-3321.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. And hunyansung@gmail.com.
Yes.
Gotcha, right. Okay, gotcha. And what would you say you'd like to see more out of your wedge play?
Better trajectory, more backspin.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Like so we stop.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, with those small greens at Heritage, you needed the ball to stop really quick.
Right. It does. It does, definitely.
If you guys get thirsty at all while we're in here, there's waters in that fridge over there in the corner.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Hyan, before you get the next, and I don't think I full swing at all. So
yeah, and that's fine. You know, it's just what I'm looking for here. It will hit them from right like in here. Let me get the computer turned down here real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like 3 or 4. And the shot I guess I'm looking for is like, all right, again, it's not a full swing, it's a partial swing, but like, you know, if you were laying up on a par 5 to like a preferred distance,
right.
like that's the type of shot I want to see here.
Okay.
Yeah. Good questions for me? We don't say phone response. Your phone call. You said phone to me. Why? 1 o'clock Eastern, Center Pacific, Wesley Jeremiah, ready to take your call. Looking forward to it. You can start talking with you when you want. We're going to go live for us 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, Spectrum Time. Oh, it's gonna be live. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna want to stop talking with you soon. From 9/11. That boy John Wayne was like that. Remember that he had my way cool guy. Crazy thing with that. He's got nothing like live from. Looks like the swan. He could beat us in arm wrestling. And I have the mulligan button. Was that a little heavy?
That was a little heavy.
Yeah, okay. I'll hit the mulligan button on that one. Yeah, let's see if we get like 2 more in there and we'll see what we're looking at. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a real quick look at 610S, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you got 10S and then you got 60K.
Yeah.
So we start talking about like bounces. You know, like 10 degrees of bounce is just kind of middle of the road. You know, anything kind of below that is low bounce. Anything above that we might consider higher bounce. The way I typically set a lot of my players up is I want one that's going to be mid to higher bounce and one that's going to be lower bounce. And really the way we end up kind of looking at it is if you start to think about like the shots you're facing, turf conditions that you're hitting off of in certain distance ranges, the lob wedge ends up being the one that we keep a lower bounce on. A lot of times you think about we're trying to manipulate the face, opening up, trying to slide it underneath it. The K grind is really good, like if you're up playing in like really soft conditions, like you're playing like up in Chicago or Boston, and you're playing on some bent grass.
So that's a 14 ounce. That's a 14.
That's 14, and that's a lot higher than what I don't really find that works really well down here off really tight lies.
Why?
Reason being is like when you go to try to open the club face and get it there, like the leading edge starts sitting
up. Sitting up
to high, and all of a sudden you're just blading them and sending them hot.
Right.
Yeah. So I usually the lob wedge is always going to be the lower bounce one. The sand wedge is going to be the higher bounce one. So a couple different things that we look at on that one. So the higher bounce is going to be better for your fuller swings. So it's like those shots you're just hitting in softer conditions. So soft sand. Longer rough, stuff like that. So we always want kind of the bounce to be a little bit higher on the sand wedge than the lob wedge.
Right.
That's the first thing kind of jumps out at me. Now, as far as, then the question comes up, like, all right, what's our starting point? So, a bunch of numbers up on the screen here, but a couple of ones that I look at, going to be angle of attack. That's going to give me a little bit of an idea of maybe sole width that we want to be looking at. So we see you're 4.2 degrees down. PGA Tour pros with, at these distances with these clubs tend to actually be more like 8 to 9 degrees down. So actually hitting down on the ball a little bit more. But if you're more of a sweeper, then we just don't want that sole line to be too wide on us. But then the next number I look at is going to be over here. This is dynamic loft. And this is how much loft you're touching the ball with. So we're seeing an average of 47. You've got a 56-degree wedge. You touch it with 47. So that's 9 degrees difference. That means we want bounce to be 9 degrees or higher. Now, is your wedge playoff something like you're working on, trying to get better with, obviously? Just fraction, right? I would say, like, again, so PGA Tour pros I work with, they're hitting, 8 to 9 degrees down. But with like a 56 or a 54, they're usually touching it with about 43 or 42 degrees. So they actually have the shaft leaning a little bit more. That combination of stuff is what gives us that lower launching trajectory type thing. It doesn't necessarily change spin. The spin can be the same. There's this thing called spin loft, which is your angle of attack and your dynamic loft.
Dynamic loft, yeah.
That's just going to generate ball speed and spin. Now, launch is determined by we call them alligator jaws. Do we have the alligator jaws pointed down or up? So we could literally create that same spin rate if these were pointed down but launching the ball. That make sense? Yeah. So we're looking, 10 degrees of bounce or more is going to be really good for us. That S grind from Vokey is really good. Well, that's 10 degrees. If you start working on trying to flight them down a little bit more, what you might find is like you might feel that starts to dig a little bit more.
Right.
Because if we get into a case where we've got negative bounce, meaning, hey, at 56 degree and I'm leaning it forward, for you, if you lean it more than 10, well, now that club's going to want to dig into the ground. We start to see contact point issues happening from there. Right. So what I actually want to... So is your main short game weapon around the green? Do you try that to be your 60 degree? Or do you like to use both?
No, I usually... The 60, I only use it when it's like really high out.
Yeah.
Like, once you go over a green, like rolls over it, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, you gotta go high. That's when I pick up the 60.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really...
Yeah, so and that can be a little bit because of how that 60 is. Because again, manipulating the face is really difficult with that. So where I like to, this is where we start talking about grind. So grind is the shaping of it. So if you're using any of your wedges like with multiple face orientations, so if I open the face, whether it's on a 56 or a 60, we kind of want to make sure we have some heel relief, trailing edge relief, and toe relief on it. Now, if we're talking in the Vokey world, when we talk 56, one of my favorites to go to is their 12D. So it's got 12 degrees of bounce. So for those squared up shots, if we are leaning the shaft a little bit, like it's not going to want to dig into the ground. But it's got heel relief, trailing edge, and toe relief. So for those, when you do go to open the club face, they start to change things around. Now, the lob wedge that I pair with it from Vokey would be their M grind. So you see that the soles are shaped pretty similar, but this is 8 degrees of bounce. So now in this one, when we go to try to slide it underneath it, it's not going to be sitting so high up off the ground. So that's like the Vokey world. Cleveland, they've got a couple different ones to look at now. This is their new Adapt 8. It's a full face, so it's got grooves going all the way across it. This is their attempt to try to make that one. That is my favorite lob wedge grind because it travels really well. It handles many situations. So we'd be looking at like Adapt there. 56, we'd probably be looking at the mid. Mid also has trailing edge toe relief and heel relief. In the ping world, it tends to be a little bit more like the 60T and the 56H. Callaway, we've got the 60C and 5612. TaylorMade, we've got the MGs. Now, there's the one thing, one of my fitting matrix here does not. They've got a grind. I have it in my bag, so we might end up hitting that one. But they've got what we call their SBC grind, which is same shaping as that. It's their version of the M grind. But they're 56, 14 HV, and that.
14 degrees bounce.
14 degrees bounce, yeah. Yep. So it is one of those things that if you're going to be working on trying to flight them a little bit more, we just actually encourage you to do it because right now if you take your 10 degree and try to flight it down by leaning the shaft, you're going to get some of those that just feel like they stick into the ground a little bit more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, we're going to grab these. We're going to grab the 56s, and we're going to go head out on the grass. Get out the sunshine, out the wheel stuff. The way I kind of work this is we're gonna try to sit here and find out which one of these you feel like you're seeing some good stuff with, and then we'll grab the lob wedge that matches it. We'll go out to the short thing. Right, got that. Got that. Black flag from here. What's the range? That black flag is about 80 yards from here. So pretty close to where we were hitting it just before. Okay.
Like that we might miss.
A little left?
Yeah. But like it will hit clean.
Yeah.
And don't go left. I think it's my right hand's like being too active. Like I close it too much.
How's that one feel?
I mean, even though I missed it,
Yeah.
but it feels
good?
I just feel like I'm going to the right direction.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm not doing these in any particular order. I'm just grabbing them as we go. Thoughts so far on that one? Got it in the middle?
Yeah. It feels
It feels good there, doesn't it? Thoughts on how that one feels and looks?
pretty good, honestly. Like
Better than the Vokey?
maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because like I said, I always just look whatever that was because I think that the one I have right now, I got it at Hilton Head.
Okay.
And then there used to be a store at the outlet. And then that one I got for like really, really cheap. So I was like, okay, I couldn't resist not to buy it. I think it was like
Could you say that again? Like when you say that when you're out here, you're listening for the.
Yeah, I'm out here listening for the turf interaction. Literally, like how does it sound as the club's going through the ground? There's always a certain kind of pitch and noise that we look for. just to kind of know that we are interacting with the ground very well. In between the grooves, you see little micro grooves.
Oh, wow.
So what those are designed, what those really help with is spin retention. Two things: spin retention over the entire life of the wedge.
Right.
So they did a test where I think it was like they had 140 rounds of use on a MG3 and an MG4. MG4 had like 1,500 higher RPMs.
Then the other, okay.
Yep. But then the other thing that it really helps with is wet weather performance. Those little grooves help kind of channel the water out of the way.
I see.
A lot of people have been surprised with these once they started hitting them.
Wow. Oh, this one's
Good, isn't it?
yeah.
You lean it any which way. Which one kind of? So I love what I saw of this one turf interaction wise. Even that last one you hit, a little heavy, but
Right.
still decent. That's where I think the higher bounce actually saved you a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's honestly with all these being higher bounce than what you were using. In those situations where maybe we touch the ground just a shade early, because what the bounce is designed to do is act like the belly of a duck when it's landing on a pond.
Right.
Helps it glide
Through, right?
instead of the bill of the duck, which is going to make it dive into the water. You want to hook up more of that?
Yes.
Okay. Was that kind of leading candidate in your eyes?
I think. I mean, this one was. Yeah, that's pretty. Oh, this one's bad. But even the bad shot,
Yeah.
like it didn't go like as horrible as like I saw like it were gone to, right?
It's the secret to the game, right? How good are our bad ones?
Right. Pull to the left, but it feels good.
Yeah. Anything you want to retry?
Maybe the Callaway one.
Okay.
What do you think, the Callaway or the Ping? But I think that was the most comfortable though.
This is the leading candidate in my eyes. I didn't mind some of the stuff I heard or was seeing with the Callaway. The one thing I was saying, and this is something I have noticed, it does appear like that added stuff they do to the face on these help the launch be a little bit lower.
Right.
I did see the Callaway kind of launch just a shade higher.
Yeah.
So, tell you what I'm seeing.
You didn't land all right.
So here's what I'm gonna show you. So listen, when I look at your setup, I see someone who just had a high bounce lob wedge. And then what I typically will see with that is kind of ball back in the stance, shaft lean forward. So we're taking loft off it. What's going to happen there is that ball is going to come off low and hot and do what we had seen, right? So the tour pros I work with, when they hit this shot, they do some things that are a little bit counterintuitive to what amateurs do. Is
Forward, right?
But it's middle to slightly forward in the stance.
Right.
Then they have the face opened,
Mm.
and they're not leaning the shaft at address. They kind of have their hands dead above the ball. Go ahead and stand here real quick.
Okay. I thought I'm doing that, but I guess I didn't. I guess I did it to the back then.
And as they swing it,
Yeah.
they tend to kind of hinge it a little bit.
Right.
And as they're coming down, they let that hinge come out, and that club head kind of passes the hands.
Right.
And here's why this can really help with things, because one of the biggest components of creating spin is speed. If on this short of a shot, if I'm also doing something to de-loft it, that speeds the golf ball up, takes spin away. I have to slow my swing down to hit it shorter. If I add some loft at address, and as I swing it, I hinge it and unhinge it, I can go ahead and actually give it a little bit more speed, and the ball is going to go up a little bit more.
Right.
Haven't practiced much this last week. Been too cold. Boned that one a little bit. But that's the idea.
Right.
Is like we want to be able to swing it in a way where, because again, we talk about that bounce idea.
Right.
You know, we kind of want that edge of the club
To enter the ground.
riding the ground. So I've had Chris Kirk I watched him hit like 30 of these one day. And what I noticed, and I don't think it was intentional from him, but he was literally touching the ground
Before the ball.
about an inch or 2 inches behind it. And he'd still hit these low launching, really high spinning ones.
Oh.
That'll hit and stop a little bit easier. So I want you to go ahead and try that setup with this. But again, it was going to be hard for you to work on that shot because you had so much bounce on yours.
I see.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's.
Yeah, I know. I see. I got more height now.
Yeah, yep. Yep, so set the face open at address.
Like that.
Yep, so set it like that. Yep. Loosen up your grip pressure too. And as you swing it, you're going to feel like a hinge. And you're going to toss the hinge out. You don't want to shove the handle forward. Okay, that's a chip shot.
Okay.
This is a pitch. Nicely done.
I think. Too hard.
So I'm going to show you one other thing that'll help you with this. You know, like we see your swing is like like in your full swing, you like curve the ball left as you miss, right? So that's kind of a draw-based swing. Go ahead and stand right back there real quick. So when I watch you swing these, I see the setup in a pretty good spot, but I see you kind of work the club in here, and then we've got to go back out that way. What I want you to feel is actually like you actually take this club head up and out, cut across it, and return the loft back to it.
Right.
And that makes it a lot easier to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
Like my bad habit.
Yeah, so take your setup real quick, get that ball slightly forward, face a little bit open. I'd want you to envision I'm standing here, but you need to swing it in a way where you wouldn't hit me.
Right.
See that? Yeah. Very good.
Oh, it's a little chunky.
It's all right. So the other thing that starts to develop when someone gets really around them and draw bias this way is in order to get that ball to start on line, you got to twist that face shut to kind of square it up.
Right.
Well, that's going to turn that leading edge down into
Down
the ground.
the ground, yeah.
We kind of want to feel like, hey, I'm actually going to keep it open.
Keep it open the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. 2. Very good. Really good. Just a little bit too hard, but you could feel it.
I got it, the
height and the spin.
Yeah.
So that feeling that you just had,
Yeah.
that club kind of glided across the top of the ground.
Right.
That created a lot of friction.
A lot of
with the
friction
ball.
for the ball.
Yeah. Right idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just just the distance control from there, but that is
And so how to move this into distance control,
right.
this is where you can say, okay, let me open it up even more to dress.
Right.
You know, so because the last thing I don't want someone to do is to slow their swing down to hit it shorter.
Oh, I hit behind it.
That's all right. It's a new feel. It's a new technique. But the good thing is, like with this type of grind, now you can actually practice this and get better with it.
Right.
It's gonna be hard to do with that old K grind.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just gonna try to. I'm thinking about just trying to land this puppy
Right there.
like in here.
Okay.
But I'm gonna use that same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Face open. I'm just gonna make a mini version of it. Not move the club head a whole lot.
Oh.
This will help you like practicing these will help you kind of get a little bit of the fine details.
Too much.
So let's analyze that. How could we have slowed that golf ball down? Because the rhythm was really good.
Yeah, rhythm was good.
So open that
More
face.
face
Yep.
more open.
Yep. We'll say I liked the face orientation better there. Rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rhythm was off. Hey. Oh, that's that. I think that one was free.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a little concept that I want you to kind of keep in mind while you're doing this. Like when these guys, like these tour guys are hitting this shot, what you'll see is you'll see the club head moving a lot and the cap of the grip not moving hardly at all. See how it's just kind of staying right in here?
Yeah.
That's literally how much hand action you want to have in it. Like some of those, when you hit them, I'm seeing the whole club move this way a little bit. So before you hit this next one, have just your right hand on it, and just feel like what it's like to move it with just your right hand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the right idea. Very good. So now on this next one, you had to feel like you had to keep your hand a little bit lighter on the club to do that, right? So that level of lightness. Yeah. Go ahead and open that face up. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. Really good.
It actually bite.
Yeah. And you probably didn't feel like you hit that one all that great, right?
No.
Yeah.
It feel weak. Yeah. But
That's where the technique's also starting to give you a margin for error.
yeah.
Really good.
Stop biting more now.
Yeah. Really good.
You got it. Oh, that one feels. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Feeling good?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Thinking I was in the middle, like as far as the setup.
Yeah.
Didn't realize I was going behind it.
Ball wasn't too far back. It's just you did have your hands set up pretty far forward.
Oh.
So that was a little bit more of what you'd see than that.
And I feel like I'm doing that with my